Happy New Year, everyone! Okay, so I'm back this year after not being present for a little while there. But in my defense, it was literally the holiday season. Who has time for anything during the holiday season? I thought I would just not rush anything and just kind of, dedicate my energy to the new year. So that's what we're doing now today. Say hi to my friend Jumbo. He was a Secret Santa gift. Anyway, I love him. That's my new best friend. And I hope you will enjoy his presence from now on. Okay, so I wanted to do a little bit of a rambly video, although it could be argued that all of my videos are kind of rambly, to just talk about 2025. What is that gonna be about? And 2024 a little? I don't know, just essentially what I'm planning to do moving forward from here. Because I have a lot of plans and I just kind of, want to put them out there on a public platform. I've already done that on Tumblr, but I don't know, it just feels different when I speak about it out loud. So first things first, what is going on with me writing related? Well, I am writing a new book. Finally, I've settled on a new book that I'm gonna be writing. And God, believe me when I say that I've struggled so much with finding a new project after I finished this one. And it's not because I lacked in ideas. I have plenty of them. There was just something else. And I made a video prior about one of my ideas that I've tried to write, and I don't know. That one was fine, but I was struggling with it a lot. So I decided to put it a bit on the back burner. Then I picked up a rom-com murder mystery, and honestly, I will say, I had a lot of fun with it. I wrote 30,000 words in a few weeks, which is really, really quick for me, because I really needed that kind of mental health break from fantasy, because fantasy involves a lot of brain power, as does sci-fi and any other genre that is very world plot heavy, right? And I was just kind of okay, I need to chill for a bit. I need to just write for the sake of writing without having to think too much about, does this make sense? So I was kind of okay, I have this rom-com idea. I had started writing it several months ago, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the process because it was very lighthearted. It was very kind of character focused without all the trauma, because a lot of my characters, they have a lot of trauma, and that's fun too. But sometimes you just want some silly and goofy stuff, okay? You just want something unserious. So that's what that was for me. But as I got through several chapters and I said 30,000 words, I realized that I think it would be much easier to publish this, but if I did, I'd kind of lock myself into the genre. Because, you can't really write in different genres. You can do whatever you want, obviously. But if you publish in a specific genre, then the publishers will expect you to keep writing in that genre. Because, okay, that's what made us money. Why do you want to experiment? So that's why a lot of authors who want to write in different genres use different names, pseudonyms, so that, readers don't get confused and they can pick what they actually want to read. So I'm okay, yeah, I can write this rom-com murder mystery without any fantasy, but I don't want to write more of it. That's not my genre. Yeah, I can read it. It's not my preferred genre either for reading. Even though, I'm pretty genre agnostic, I read a lot throughout many different genres. But still, it's just, I don't know. Yeah. So I was kind of okay, I'm still gonna write it eventually, but I still want to focus on a book that I can actually publish or, try to publish first. So I'm okay, we're back at fantasy. We're back to where we began. Yeah, I thought long and hard about why am I struggling so much with just picking a project and sticking to it. That wasn't a problem with this book. So why is it a problem now? And I came to the conclusion that I'm just not ready to let this story go. Like, okay, obviously I still have like the second part of the duology to write, but you know, it's not really a new project. It's kind of like following the same story, everything. I just split the story in two, so it's like the same story. And I can't, you know, try to publish the second one. So it's like, okay, that doesn't count. But with a completely new story, I would have to kind of, you know, not abandon, but focus on something else entirely, like other people, other worlds, and all that. And I kind of felt like I'd be cheating. Like I'm cheating on this book, or somehow, like, it's like my baby and I'm gonna be writing something else? What do you mean? And that's kind of the problem, I think, with long projects. If you've worked a long while on a specific story, like it's very easy to get attached to all the characters, the world, you know, the world building and the dynamics. Like it just feels very real to you. It feels part of my personality at this point. So it can be very hard to do something else because like I don't know other people. Like I would have to create other characters and get to know them, like get to know who they are, what their relationships are, what this world looks like, what it feels like. It's just a lot of work, and I don't feel like I'm ready to commit to a different project when I'm still so hung up on this one. So my genius idea was just write the prequel. Essentially, okay, that's kind of stupid. It's kind of stupid, but it would work, honestly. It would be a completely different book with many of the same characters, but it would be its own thing. It would be a standalone. It would be self-contained. You would not need any additional context. Like you would not need to read this duology to read this prequel, right? And vice versa, really. Like they would be like separate entities, but they would still be in the same world about kind of the same characters. And that really appealed to me because I've been wanting to write the prequel to this story ever since I came up with this story. Like, as I was writing this, I had thoughts, ideas in my head for the prequel. So it was just a matter of time. And I'm like, okay, you know, now is the perfect time, really. You know, like I need to work on a different book that I can try selling on its own, and I don't have to force myself to commit to something else entirely. And honestly, it's kind of interesting because technically it's the same genre, it's still fantasy, but subgenre-wise, it would be dark academia, which is my favorite subgenre. I read a lot of dark academia, even though I don't like a lot of books in dark academia, which makes me question whether I even like dark academia, but you know, I digress. And I've been really, really dying to write my own dark academia. So this is kind of like, okay, yeah, this is exactly what I've been wanting to do. But it would be the type of dark academia where it's like genuinely focused on academia. Like the university that it's taking place at, it's totally fine as far as, you know, elite universities go. Like, sure, reading about conspiracies and secrets and cults and murders, that's all cool, you know, and I love doing that as well. But sometimes I just want a story about academia, like in itself and its nature, like how it can consume students, how it can warp their perception of themselves and of others, and how it can just, you know, become this beast that just eats through you if you're not careful, if you're not pacing yourself. Also, I am a nerd. I want to read about people studying sometimes. I like the idea of academia, but it's kind of like a love-hate relationship. So, and also a lot of like dark academias where the characters are actively studying in like a university or school or whatever, they are usually literature majors or theater or just something to do with literature, which makes sense because a lot of authors' backgrounds are in literature or languages or the like, you know? So it makes a lot of sense why their protagonists would also be into that sort of thing. But it's like, it's a different experience from science majors. And I want to read not only about literature majors, but also about science majors. Because that's like, okay, technically I am neither. I'm a social sciences major, but it still leans more towards science, okay? Like, technically my bachelor is of science, so it's not hard science, but I still have more familiarity with the, you know, more scientific aspect of academia, right? So I want to read more of that, so naturally I'm gonna write about that. The premise really is pretty simple. Well, it's not simple, but I feel like it's simple to explain. So it's just basically a story about the rise and fall of prodigies. We get a lot of stories about like the underdogs, right? And that's, again, really fun, really good. I love reading that. But also, sometimes I want to look at the other side of the picture. Like, what about the students who are actually good and liked and admired and actually are believed that, like, okay, you are gonna reach really high. You have so much potential and you're just special. We know those people. We know those people in high school. We know those people in university. And I'm just like, okay, how far can we push this actually? Like, what would happen if it became pathological? Like, this needs to succeed. So essentially, it is a story about how a need for attention, for love, admiration, coupled with a desire to succeed academically, how can that warp a person and how far can it push them? Obviously, like, there is a specific plot, but academia kind of sometimes wanders, you know, just kind of meanders around. So it's not as plot heavy as other books, I would suppose. But whatever, it's gonna work. It's gonna work out. Obviously, we also have forbidden sciences and magic, specifically human transmutation. That is a very interesting topic to me, and I'm gonna be writing about it, and, well, you're gonna be reading about it, maybe, hopefully. This book is definitely gonna be shorter than this one, which is good, which is what I want. So I don't expect it to take that long for me to finish. Especially since, again, I already know the world, I know the world building, I know the characters, I know their dynamics. I just don't know how we get those specific dynamics. So there's enough that I know of that I can write relatively fast, but there's still a lot for me to discover so that I don't lose interest. First drafts are difficult for me. I really hate writing them because I'm more of an editing girly, you know, like, I love rewriting. It's not a very popular opinion, maybe, but it's kind of where my heart is at. Like, first draft is just kind of like a sketch, like, and it's ugly, it's disorderly, it's so not what I want the book to be. And when I get into rewriting, now I can begin to actually sculpt it into something readable. So essentially, my main goal for the next few months is to just finish this first draft as quickly as I reasonably can. So, like, I'm not gonna, you know, torture myself, but I am gonna try to push myself a little bit more than I did earlier, just to see, you know, whether that will work and whether I will actually write it as fast as I wanted to without significantly losing quality. And afterwards, you know, there's gonna be rewriting, there's gonna be editing, and I'm gonna be looking for beta readers, hopefully sometime in summer. That's kind of my, you know, preliminary goal, but usually, I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna go, but that's kind of what I'm gonna be focused on most for the next several months. Someone asked me what my New Year's resolutions are, and I'm like, damn, I really don't do anything besides write, do I? In general, I kind of want to talk more about dark academia, and later I want to, like, read more dark academia books that I haven't yet and just kind of do a deep dive into the genre itself. Other than that, I do have a desire to write more short stories this year. And I'm hoping maybe I can use this time between drafts to work on short stories, because I wanna, apply to some magazines, maybe anthologies, and, get something published. That's kind of one of my other goals for this year. Also, I want to read more. Like last year I read 35 books, and I want to try doing 50 this year. I don't know how it's gonna go, because I have never read that much in 1 year, but I'm gonna make an attempt. And we're gonna see how it goes. That is pretty much what I wanted to talk about. Just gonna give a brief overview of what I want my 2025 to look like. And I don't know, I hope 2025 is a better year for us all. However that might look like for you. I hope it brings you more joy, more success, more love, more health, whatever you need. If you want to tell me what your writing goals are for 2025, please go ahead. I'd be very curious to know. And yeah, I will see you next time with, I don't know yet, so it'll be a surprise to us all. So, bye.